BHI is so much, while it's so much about the industry and the builders, there's a whole story of the industry coming together and what we all do together. The other part of it is BHI as a family.
When young people ask me, because I get asked a lot by, either young entrepreneurs or classes in entrepreneurialism, they go, how'd you start your company? The bottom line is BHI started by an accident, right? We created a business plan that said, wouldn't it be cool if the entire industry came together and decided to completely rethink how they build homes and their entire customer experience and change their 100-year history of behavior? It was a beautiful vision that home building is one of the largest verticals in the world, needed to be transformed. It really would have had no legs at all, except of one of those, stupid, simple, lucky events where it's way better to be lucky than it is to be smart. A friend of a friend said, "Oh, I know somebody at D.R. Horton. I could probably get you a meeting." And at that point, I didn't even really know who D.R. Horton was.
We met with Tim Eller at Centex, and we met with the executive team at D.R. Horton in May. There was a board meeting in May, I believe a meeting in May with the original founders that Tim attended. And at that point, I was hired, both Gary and I were hired as the first employees of BHI.
It was that meeting that was this crazy collision of a stupid idea by somebody that really had unrealistic expectations of getting the industry pulled together and getting the industry to change. And it just turned out that the 5 largest builders in the country had already met and said they're going to pull a company together to get this industry to change. And they had actually created BHI. And when I left, they called me on the way home and said, "Would you run this company?"
I was actually approached by Gary and Greg, and I met them first. And then I was at another internet company at that time. This seemed like a great idea, awesome business model, so I decided to join it.
I showed up to interview, and the offices were a little less plush than perhaps the other ones. And when I say less plush, I mean green shag carpet, no furniture to speak of other than used lawn furniture that was falling apart. And I come into interview and I'm like, okay, here we are. So very different experience, but I actually fell in love with the people and the concept. To me, the fact that this would be funded by the customers who needed the products, it was the first startup that I actually thought, this one could make it. We followed a concept called servant leadership, which basically means you put the needs of your customers first, and if you do that and you do a good job, they'll make sure you're still in business.
But it's not just a phrase. This is a really important kind of psychological transformation when people enter the company. You're working on the behest of 20,000 actors in this business, and 650,000 to 1 million consumers every single year that are looking for a better place to live.
We had a lot of hurdles. This venture required a lot more money than we initially had.
So inside the company, there's kind of a lore about a meeting that we had. We called the Headlights meeting. And the Headlights meeting was pretty simple. We had X dollars in cash. We were burning Y dollars per month. And it meant we only had so many weeks left before we ran out of cash and we shut down. Everybody took pay cuts. We felt it was fair for the most senior executives to take the largest pay cut, and then all the way down the line, everybody participated. And it certainly told you who was all in on the company at that point in time.
The company then just sort of steadily grew with two key drivers. One, we grew our number of accounts we had. Both consortium ownership and client accounts. And we also grew our business by introducing new lines of business.
Tim and I had this challenge about, hey, can you actually go do work for a third party rather than just doing work internally? And we kind of took that challenge and actually went and did some work, and that's how EX Squared was born.
During the downturn, we added the graphics, computer-generated imaging business. We added the outcoding business during the downturn. So we were able, while the builders were working their way through the downturn and rebuilding their volumes, we were adding other lines of business. So we weren't only dependent on advertising, on builder listings and builder advertising.
The fact that housing survived it is a miracle all by itself. And we weren't unscathed either. We have products that are directly related to the volume sales of our community. So we had to kind of switch gears, and this is probably takes us back to our entrepreneurial roots. What do you do when you're faced with adversity?
I think what's so amazing about our 20-year history is that, one, most startups don't make it past the first year, let alone 20 years, and that we're constantly reinventing.
And I think the people sort of define this company. Our customers and our people are the two big parts of this company, which I'm really grateful for and proud of.
The thing that makes me the proudest, though, is when you see somebody just do the right thing. This is a weird company. Our job is servant leadership in service of the industry and in service of consumers in the United States that are looking for a better place to live. So when an employee really gets it and just knows to do the right thing, and they do it without asking anybody, without telling anybody, that's what I'm most proud of.